What if your next meal depended on a complete stranger? And what if that stranger had already eaten everything before it ever reached you? Today's story takes us inside one of the most terrifying prisons ever imagined, a place where hunger is more dangerous than any weapon, where survival depends on luck, and where humanity slowly disappears one floor at a time. Welcome to the platform, a prison unlike anything you've ever seen, where every level is a battle, every day is a gamble, and one wrong move could cost you your life. Hi guys, welcome back to QuinMax, where every movie has a story beyond the screen. The story begins with a man named Goring, who suddenly wakes up inside a strange and mysterious prison known as the Platform. At first glance, the place looks simple. The prison is built vertically, stretching far above and far below. Every level contains a small concrete room, and in the center of each room is a massive rectangular hole that runs through the entire structure. But that hole serves a horrifying purpose. Every single day, a giant platform loaded with food travels from the very top level all the way down to the bottom. The platform stops at each floor for exactly 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Whatever you can eat during that time is yours. Whatever you leave behind goes down to the next level. And by the time the platform reaches the lower floors, there may be nothing left at all. Goring quickly realizes he isn't alone. Sharing the room with him is an elderly prisoner named Trimagesi. Unlike Goring, Trimagesi knows exactly how this place works. The moment a green light flashes across the room, Trimagesi immediately becomes alert. Seconds later, the platform arrives. The table is covered with leftovers, half-eaten meals, dirty plates, food that has already passed through countless hands. Without hesitation, Trimagesi jumps onto the platform and starts devouring whatever he can find, as if he hasn't eaten in weeks. Goring watches in disgust. The food is cold, stale, and covered in traces of the people above them. He can't bring himself to eat any of it, but then he notices an apple. Thinking he can save it for later, he quietly slips it into his pocket, a decision that almost costs him his life. 2 minutes later, the platform begins descending again. Before it disappears, Trimagesi casually spits onto the food and laughs. "Don't look so surprised," he says. "The people above us do the exact same thing." For a moment, Goring thinks the old man is joking. Then suddenly, the temperature inside the room begins rising. Fast, the air becomes unbearable. The walls feel like they're burning. Panic spreads across Trimagesi's face. "Throw the apple away," he screams. Confused, Goring asks why. Trimagesi explains that keeping food after the platform leaves is strictly forbidden. The prison somehow knows, and anyone who tries to hide food is punished. If you keep it, the room becomes so hot, or sometimes so cold, that nobody survives. Realizing the danger, Goring immediately throws the apple into the shaft. Within seconds, the temperature returns to normal. That's when Goring understands something terrifying. This prison has rules, and breaking them can kill you. Later, Goring tells Trimagesi why he volunteered to come here. Unlike most prisoners, he wasn't forced into the platform. He signed up willingly. For 6 months, his goal was simple. He wanted to quit smoking, earn a diploma, and leave as a better person. The old man bursts out laughing. "A diploma?" he says. "If that's true, I should have earned 2 by now." According to Trimagesi, he's already spent over a year inside this nightmare. Curious, Goring asks what crime brought him here. The answer is both ridiculous and tragic. One day, Trimagesi was watching television when he saw an advertisement for a special knife. The commercial claimed it was so sharp it could cut through stone. Excited, he ordered it immediately, but when it arrived, it was just an ordinary kitchen knife. Furious, he lost control. In a fit of rage, he picked up his television and threw it out the window. Unfortunately, his luck was terrible. The television landed directly on a man walking below. The impact killed him instantly. When he went to court, the judge gave him two choices: a psychiatric institution or 1 year and 6 months inside the platform. He chose the prison, a decision he would later regret. As they continue talking, Trimagesi reveals another horrifying secret. Every 30 days, all prisoners are randomly reassigned to different levels. 1 month you might live near the top, surrounded by food. The next month you could wake up hundreds of floors below, where almost nothing reaches you. Last month, he says, he was assigned to level 132, a place so deep that even the smell of food barely made it there. Yet somehow, he survived. Goring asks how. The old man simply smiles. A person can live 30 days on water alone, but something about his expression feels wrong. Very wrong. Goring can't shake the feeling that he's hiding something. He begins staring at the knife Trimagesi brought with him. The same knife from the television advertisement, and a disturbing thought enters his mind. Maybe the old man didn't survive on water. Maybe he survived by killing his previous roommate and eating him. The idea sounds insane, but in a place like this, nothing feels impossible. Days pass. Goring tries to stay optimistic. He believes that if everyone simply ate their fair share, there would be enough food for everyone below. So he starts shouting upward, asking the prisoners above to be reasonable. No one answers. Then he tries talking to the prisoners below. The response is even worse. The people beneath them are angry, desperate, and completely hostile. Years of starvation have stripped away their humanity. Watching this, Trimagesi laughs. He insults the prisoners below, mocks them, and even urinates down the shaft. Then he turns to Goring. "Never respect the people below you," he says coldly. "They should know their place." Those words reveal exactly what this prison does to people. It turns neighbors into enemies. It turns ordinary people into monsters. And it teaches everyone one brutal lesson. When survival is on the line, compassion becomes a luxury. One day, while the two men are talking, something shocking happens. A body suddenly falls from one of the upper levels. The man crashes through the shaft and slams onto a lower floor, dead. Goring freezes in horror. His heart nearly stops. But Trimagesi barely reacts. For him, this is normal. "Get used to it," he says. "People die here all the time." And as the days continue to pass, something inside Goring slowly begins to change. The man who once refused to touch the leftovers now finds himself reaching for food the moment the platform arrives. Because in the platform, morality doesn't disappear overnight. It starves to death. As time passes, Goring and Trimagesi begin forming an unusual friendship. It isn't the kind of friendship built on trust overnight, but in a place like this, having someone to talk to means everything. Slowly, a strange bond starts growing between them. Then one day, a woman appears on the platform. Her name is Maharu. The moment Goring sees her, he can tell something is terribly wrong. She looks exhausted, wounded, and barely alive. Her body is covered in injuries, and she seems like she's been through absolute hell. Feeling sorry for her, Goring wants to help, but Trimagesi immediately stops him. He tells Goring that Maharu is dangerous. According to him, every single month she rides the platform down through the levels searching for her child. Nobody knows if the child even exists, but she keeps looking anyway, and anyone unfortunate enough to travel with her usually ends up dead. She kills her cellmate every month in the hope that someday she'll reach the level where her son is waiting. At first, Goring struggles to believe such a story, but moments later, he witnesses something horrifying. As the platform begins descending again, prisoners from a lower level suddenly attack Maharu. From above, Goring watches the entire thing unfold. Furious and helpless, he starts shouting at them. But Maharu doesn't need saving. Within seconds, She brutally eliminates both attackers without showing a shred of fear. It's almost as if violence has become second nature to her. After dealing with them, she calmly sits back on the platform and continues her journey downward, disappearing into the darkness below. The image stays burned into Goring's mind. As the days pass, Goring slowly adapts to the brutal reality of the pit. He begins living like everyone else. When the platform arrives, he grabs food as quickly as possible because he now understands that survival comes before dignity in this place. Then the 30-day cycle comes to an end. Trismegistai informs him that their level is about to change. The next morning, they could wake up anywhere. Maybe higher, maybe lower, maybe somewhere impossible to survive. When Goring finally regains consciousness the next day, he immediately realizes something is wrong. He can't move. His arms and legs are tied tightly to the bed. Confused and terrified, he looks over at Trismegistai. That's when the old man calmly explains everything. During the night, they were relocated to level 171, a level so low that food rarely reaches it. Trismegistai knew exactly what that meant. He also knew that Goring was younger, stronger, and healthier than him. So he made a decision, a horrifying decision. Looking directly into Goring's eyes, Trismegistai tells him that he doesn't want to kill him. But if hunger becomes unbearable, he'll have no choice. He'll cut pieces of meat from Goring's body and eat them little by little. That way, Goring can stay alive longer while Trismegistai survives. The words sound insane, but in this prison, insanity has become normal. For 8 long days, Trismegistai keeps Goring tied to the bed. Goring desperately struggles to escape, pulling against the ropes until his skin tears apart, but nothing works. Day after day, the platform arrives carrying nothing but dirty plates and empty dishes. No food, no hope, just hunger, and eventually, hunger wins. Trismegistai reaches his breaking point. He begins cutting small pieces of flesh from Goring's body. Not enough to kill him, just enough to keep himself alive. Each cut is agonizing. Each day feels worse than the last. Goring can do nothing except scream and watch his own humanity being carved away piece by piece. Then, just when all hope seems lost, something unexpected happens. The platform arrives, and standing on it is Miharu. Without hesitation, she smashes a glass bottle against Trismegisai's head. Before he can react, she slices open his throat. Blood sprays across the room. Within seconds, Trismegistai collapses, dead. Miharu then walks over and unties Goring. She remembers that he had always treated her with kindness, and in a place where kindness is almost extinct, that mattered. The moment Goring is free, years of fear, pain, and rage explode out of him. He grabs the knife and brutally kills Trismegistai once and for all. The trauma overwhelms him. He collapses unconscious. When he finally wakes up, Miharu is still there. She has cleaned and bandaged his wounds, but the sight in front of him is disturbing. Miharu is eating Trismegisai's organs. The reality of the pit has completely destroyed every moral boundary. Then she offers some of the meat to Goring. At first, he refuses. The thought disgusts him. But hunger is stronger than pride, stronger than morality, stronger than everything. And eventually, he gives in. For the first time, Goring eats human flesh, a moment he never imagined possible, a moment that changes him forever. Later, he asks Miharu about her son, but she says nothing, not a single word. Instead, she quietly sits on the platform and once again disappears into the darkness below, continuing her endless search. Now, Goring is completely alone. Days turn into weeks. Isolation begins affecting his mind. He starts seeing visions of Trismegistai, hearing his voice, seeing his shadow. The dead man seems to follow him everywhere, partly because of guilt, and partly because Goring has been surviving by eating his remains. 30 days later, another relocation arrives. When Goring wakes up this time, something strange is licking his face. Startled, he opens his eyes. A dog is standing beside him. He quickly pushes it away and checks the level number. This time, he's on level 33, a massive improvement, and he's sharing the cell with a woman. Then, he realizes something shocking. He's seen her before. Before entering the prison, she was the woman who conducted his interview. Confused, Goring asks how she ended up here. The woman calmly explains that she chose to enter voluntarily. She believes this place helps people connect with their true selves, their souls, their deepest nature. Goring can hardly believe what he's hearing. He immediately tells her she's completely wrong. This isn't a place of self-discovery. It's a place where human beings become monsters. A place where people eat each other just to survive. But the woman remains calm. She explains that the prison has only 200 levels, and according to her calculations, there is actually enough food for everyone. If every prisoner simply ate their fair share and left the rest untouched, the people below could survive too. Then the platform arrives. Goring immediately starts eating, but the woman does something different. First, she feeds her dog. Then, she carefully sets aside portions meant for the people below. When the platform moves down to the next level, she politely asks the prisoners there to eat only what belongs to them. She begs them to leave enough food for everyone else. But instead of listening, they insult her. They mock her. They curse at her. Day after day, the same thing happens. Every time the platform descends, she pleads with people to show restraint. And every time, she is met with hatred. Eventually, Goring gets fed up. One day, he leans over the edge and angrily shouts a warning. He tells the prisoners below that if they continue wasting food, he will start contaminating every meal that reaches them. And then they'll be forced to eat whatever remains. For the first time, his threat works. The prisoners fall silent. Fear succeeds where kindness failed. Goring then orders them to pass the message down to every level beneath them. And for the first time in a very long time, the possibility of change begins to spread through the pit. Days pass, and before they even realize it, another 15 days are gone. Then one day, as the platform descends from above, something shocking appears. The woman arrives unconscious. Her body looks weak and exhausted, as if she's been through absolute hell. She's barely breathing. Goring immediately rushes to her side and carefully lays her on the bed. But just as the platform continues moving downward, something strange starts happening. The temperature inside the room suddenly begins to drop. The walls feel colder. The air becomes freezing. And then Goring realizes why. The woman's dog had secretly grabbed a chicken leg from the platform. Food isn't supposed to be kept, not even a tiny piece. Without wasting a second, Goring snatches the chicken leg away and throws it back down the shaft. Almost immediately, the room's temperature returns to normal. The prison has spoken once again. No one breaks the rules. The next day, after recovering, the woman quietly leaves and continues her journey downward. Watching her disappear once again, Goring tells the woman about Maharu. He explains how she constantly travels through the levels searching for her son. A son she desperately believes is somewhere inside this nightmare. But the woman shakes her head. She tells him something that completely changes everything. According to prison regulations, no inmate under 16 years old is ever allowed inside this facility. And that's not all. Nearly 10 months earlier, she personally interviewed Maharu before she entered the prison. During that interview, Maharu clearly stated that she had no parents, no husband, no children, no family at all. She was a failed actress who voluntarily entered the prison carrying nothing but a guitar. That's it. No son, no child, nothing, which means the boy she's desperately searching for may never have existed in the first place. The revelation leaves Goring completely stunned. Who is telling the truth? Miharu, or the old man? His mind is breaking apart. Nothing makes sense anymore. Who can he trust? What is real? And what is simply another illusion created by this place? After witnessing all these horrors, the woman finally admits something. For 8 years, she had been sending people into this facility. For 8 long years, she believed it was part of a meaningful social experiment, but she never truly understood how terrifying this place really was. Now none of it matters anymore, because 3 years ago, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer. She knows she doesn't have much time left. That's why she chose to enter this prison herself. Not for money, not for success, but because she was already facing death. Another month passes. Then one morning, Goring wakes up, and what he sees nearly destroys him. He's now on level 202, and hanging from the ceiling is the woman's lifeless body. She has taken her own life. The reason is devastating. She had always believed there were only 200 levels, but when she realized the prison stretched even deeper than anyone imagined, she lost all hope. The endless darkness broke her spirit. Standing there, staring at her body, Goring feels something inside him collapse. Then the hallucinations begin. Once again, he starts seeing both the old man and the woman. The woman speaks to him. She tells him that she chose this death for a reason. She could have jumped. She could have ended her life instantly, but she didn't. Instead, she left her body behind for him, so he could survive, so he could eat, so he could keep living. The idea horrifies Goring, but the old man joins in. He pressures him too. He reminds Goring that survival is the only rule that matters here. Days turn into torture. Goring fights against his hunger. He counts every hour, every minute, every second, trying to stay human, trying to hold on to his sanity. The hunger becomes unbearable. Eventually, he starts tearing pages from his book and chewing them just to silence the pain in his stomach. But books aren't food, and starvation doesn't care about morality. Finally, when his body can no longer endure it, Goring makes a choice that will haunt him forever. He cuts into the woman's corpse, and he eats. The moment shatters whatever remains of his innocence, yet it keeps him alive for another 30 days. 30 agonizing days. When he finally wakes again, he finds himself on level 6. For the first time in months, he's relatively close to the top. But this month, he isn't alone. His new cellmate is a man named Bahara. Unlike most prisoners, Bahara still believes escape is possible. He carries a long rope. Every day he shouts upward through the shaft, begging people above to help pull him out. One day, a young man and woman finally respond. Hope lights up Bahara's face. The couple asks him a simple question: "Why should we help you?" Thinking quickly, Bahara tells them that God sent him a sign that 2 people would come and help him. The pair exchange curious glances. Then they ask, "Which God are you talking about?" Without missing a beat, Bahara smiles. "The same God you believe in." For a moment, it actually works. The couple agrees. Bahara throws them the rope and begins climbing. His heart races. Freedom finally feels within reach. Higher, higher. He's halfway there. Then suddenly everything changes. The girl reaches out and wraps tape around his mouth. Before Bahara can react, they let go of the rope. His eyes widen in terror. He's falling straight into the abyss. At the very last second, Goring lunges forward and grabs him, saving his life. But physically surviving isn't enough. Mentally, Bahara is shattered. Those people didn't just reject him. They mocked him. They laughed at his dream. They destroyed the only hope he had left. His entire plan depended on someone from the upper levels helping him escape. Now that dream is gone. That night, Goring once again sees the old man and the woman. The old man comforts him. "Just survive one more month," he says. "Then you'll leave this place. You'll earn your diploma. Everything will be worth it." But the woman disagrees. She tells him something far more important. Change never arrives on its own. Someone has to create it. Those words stay with Goring, and for the first time, he realizes that escaping isn't enough. This system itself must change. The next day, he shares an ambitious plan with Bahra. Instead of climbing upward, they will travel downward, all the way to the bottom. Goring believes that if they reach the lowest level, the platform will eventually carry them back up at incredible speed. And if they survive, they can expose the truth about this entire prison to the outside world. Bahra points out the obvious problem. They don't even know how many levels exist. And the deeper they go, the more dangerous people become. Down there, starvation has turned inmates into killers, cannibals, monsters. But Goring has already made his calculations. The deepest level he's personally seen was level 202. Based on everything he knows, he estimates there are around 250 levels, and he believes there's one way to send a message, one way to prove that this system is broken. Food. If they can successfully protect enough food and deliver it all the way to the bottom level untouched, the administration will have undeniable evidence that cooperation is possible, that the system itself is the problem. Bahra finally agrees. Together, they dismantle their beds, pulling out metal rods from the frames, creating weapons for protection. Then they step onto the descending platform, beginning a dangerous journey into the darkness below. As they travel downward, they refuse food to prisoners who have already eaten. Their mission is simple: make sure food reaches everyone, even those trapped at the very bottom. Some inmates become furious, others threaten violence. Whenever necessary, Goring and Bahra use their metal rods to force people back. Level after level, they continue descending. Then they encounter one of Bahra's former supervisors. The man quickly understands their mission. He realizes they're trying to deliver food to the lowest levels and expose the truth to the administration. Impressed by their determination, he offers a piece of wisdom. Don't start with fear. Start with understanding. Talk to people first. Give them a chance to do the right thing. And only if they refuse should force become your last option. For the first time, Goring begins to wonder whether real change can come from violence, or whether it must begin with humanity. After everything they've been through, a new mission is finally revealed. Their goal is simple, yet almost impossible. Protect the famous panna cotta dessert from the platform's kitchen and deliver it all the way to the very bottom level, to the people who have already lost every bit of hope. The idea isn't just about food. It's about sending a message that says somebody still cares, a message that proves the people above haven't completely forgotten those trapped below. Believing this could change everything, Goring and Bahra decide to take the dessert and begin their dangerous journey downward. Together, they step onto the moving platform and descend deeper into the abyss. At every level they stop and speak to the residents. They explain the situation. They beg them to sacrifice just one day of food, just one day. Some people understand and agree, others don't. And in a place where survival is all that matters, reason often fails. Those who refuse become obstacles, and sometimes the only way forward is through violence. Level after level, they continue their mission. By the time they reach level 50, Goring and Bahra become even more determined. They are no longer fighting for themselves. They are fighting for people who have never had a chance, people who have spent their entire lives waiting for a piece of bread that never came. As the platform moves lower, they arrive at another level where an old man sits beside a young boy. When Goring offers them food, the boy casually says something so disturbing that it leaves both men speechless. That old man is dying anyway. Why don't I just cut him open and take whatever food he's hiding inside? For a moment, silence fills the air. That single sentence tells them everything. The deeper they go, the more they realize that hunger hasn't only destroyed people's bodies, it has destroyed their minds, their morality, their humanity. The people below have been trapped in suffering for so long that compassion has become almost extinct. From that moment on, Goring and Bahra became far more cautious, and as they continue descending, the horrors only get worse. Some levels are completely silent, because nobody lives there, but because everybody is already dead. They find people who have starved to death. Others who couldn't endure the pain any longer ended their own lives, and some who were murdered and eaten by their own cellmates. The deeper they travel, the more the platform begins to look less like a prison and more like a nightmare. Then they arrive at a level where two savage inmates are holding another man down. The victim screams while they prepare to butcher him alive. Without hesitation, Goring and Bahra jump into the fight. A brutal struggle erupts. One of the attackers pulls out a sword and drives it straight into Bahra's stomach. The wound is devastating, but somehow Bahra keeps fighting. Fueled by pure determination, he kills the attacker. Then, grabbing the same sword, he turns and strikes down the second man, the one who is choking Goring to death. The battle is won, but the cost is enormous. Maharu is already gone, and now Bahra is dying, exhausted, wounded, and barely able to stand. The two men return to the platform and continue downward. Every level takes a little more from them. Every second pushes them closer to death. Finally, after what feels like an endless descent through hell itself, they reach level 333, the very bottom. And there, hidden in the darkness, they discover something completely unexpected. A little girl, alone, forgotten, starving. Goring immediately believes she might be Maharu's daughter. The child is weak from hunger. Her eyes are locked onto the panna cotta dessert, the very dessert they have protected throughout this entire journey. The symbol, the message, the mission. Bahra looks at Goring and tells him to give it to her. At first, he refuses. They brought the dessert all this way for a reason. It was supposed to reach the bottom untouched. It was supposed to carry a message. But then reality becomes impossible to ignore. What message could be more important than saving a starving child? Finally, he gives in. The girl eats, and for the first time, there is hope. The platform suddenly begins moving downward again. This is as far as Goring and Bahra can go. They stay behind. That night, as darkness surrounds him, Goring sees familiar faces. The old man appears once again. Beside him stands a woman. Together, they reveal the truth. The dessert was never the message. The girl is. She is the real message. She is living proof that someone survived. A reminder that innocence still exists, even in the darkest place imaginable. Goring also sees Bahra, or perhaps only a vision of him. By now, Bahra is dead, yet he repeats the same words. The girl is the message. The next morning, the platform arrives. Goring lifts the child into his arms and steps aboard. Together, they travel toward the deepest point one last time. At the final stop, the platform prepares to shoot upward at incredible speed, like a rocket heading toward the surface. At that moment, the old man appears again. "You succeeded," he tells Goring. But Goring shakes his head. "Not yet. I still have to send her up." The old man smiles. "You don't need to go anymore. She is the messenger. She will deliver the message herself." For a moment, Goring looks at the child. Then he finally understands. His journey is over. The girl's journey is just beginning. As the platform rockets upward, carrying the child toward the people above, Goring stays behind, walking away into the darkness, accepting his fate, and with that, his story comes to an end. But the message lives on. This movie holds up a powerful mirror to society. It asks a simple but uncomfortable question. What happens when resources become limited? Some people will sacrifice everyone else to save themselves. Others will risk everything to help strangers. The platform reminds us that true character is revealed not during times of abundance, but during times of scarcity. Never underestimate kindness. Never underestimate sacrifice. And always be careful of people who only think about themselves. Because when survival is on the line, human nature shows its true face. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Because here, we bring you stories that don't just entertain you, they stay in your mind long after the movie ends.